Good morning and welcome to A Better World with Julann and Fran. I'm Julann.
And I'm Fran, and our guest today is Tiffany Beyea. Welcome, Tiffany.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you. And would you please talk a little bit about what you're doing or what you've done to make the world a better place?
Absolutely. So, I have a little cheat sheet to help. So, my name is Tiffany, and I am the founder of Inner Harmony Hypnotherapy. I did sit with this question for a little while of how I can make the world a better place. And I would like to start with I grew up in an addiction household to the full extent of the definition. I moved a lot. I didn't have a lot of friends. I fell into the same patterns as I was raised with. I was an angry kid growing up, trying to figure out the world and trying to find my place. In 2020 was my first run with sobriety, and everything was going great. I became a peer at a 90-day residential program. And as a peer, if people don't know what a peer is, they are people who have had their own lived experiences through addiction, and they support others facing the same situations. And they follow a 12-step program. As a peer, I relied on the shared experience of, the addiction to build the trust and provide guidance. In 2023, I was dealing with a lot of stressors and I slipped back into that addiction life where I went down that same rabbit hole. 9 months later, I did get sober again. I had lost everything. And that is what's bringing me to, HMI. So after the 9 months, I was a cleaner. I had my own cleaning business. I was doing great. Everything was going great. Well, I was T-boned by a car that wasn't paying attention. They were on a cell phone.
Oh, God.
And so during that time, I was immobilized. Like I couldn't move. My whole leg was so bruised, my back. So kind of took me out of my cleaning business. I was watching a lot of Gaia at that time because I want to know more about the earth. There's a lot of things that I didn't do because I was too worried about running around and not learning anything. So I learned a lot of stuff from Gaia. And there's this lady on there that was a hypnotherapist and she was doing past life regressions. And I was so intrigued. I thought it was so amazing how somebody can travel to a different world just allowing others, the assistance through hypnosis. Then I was on my social media and the HMI um, history and hypnosis popped up. And I'm like, oh, I've been watching a lot of stuff on this. Let me try this out. And I had gotten 100. And I was so excited at that point. I started HMI 2 weeks after my car accident, and I've been here ever since at HMI, Hypnosis Motivational Institute, for those of listening that doesn't know. And it has been a life changer for me. And so I was very honored to have experienced everything that I went through because I feel like it all led me to HMI. And so through HMI, my specialties that I want to work with now is intuitive healing and development, past life regression, trauma recovery, IEMT, just to because I've lived the experience of, you know, the trauma growing up in addiction in an addiction household. I know how fearful it is for somebody who wants to expand themselves to be too fearful to do that, not knowing where to go, what steps to make, that, fearful feeling inside themselves. I've experienced that, and I really want to be able to help those experiencing those same scary feelings, and I want to help them transition into the life that they deserve to be living instead of the life that they were raised into live.
Well, that is beautiful.
That is beautiful.
So you've become the person you really could have used yourself that you did not have, and you've become that for other people. And I don't think there is a more beautiful gift you can give.
I mean, what a blessing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. So have you had past life regressions?
I had I've had one so far and it went really well. I'm still in my the end of my internship of the first year at HMI. I did sign up for the second year, so I'll be starting that 2 weeks after I graduate. But I did have one. A lot of my clients I've noticed have been more weight loss and trying to find the centeredness in themselves. I don't really want to say trauma recovery because it hasn't really been trauma recovery. It's just that finding themselves and figuring out the goals that they want to achieve to get to the results that they desire. That seems to be where I've been with most of my clients so far. But I'm manifesting for the future that, the right people will come at the right time. So I'm excited.
One of our earliest guests was also an HMI student, well, an HMI graduate, Angie Hernandez, and she has a podcast on which she'll do, if you're her guest, she'll do a PLR on you, a past life regression. Yes, I had this weird thing where when I was in the presence of something like a marching band or a parade or something that was advancing, and there was music being played, especially drums, I got this horrible, horrible feeling. I didn't even understand. I'm even getting chills telling you this. I didn't understand what the feeling was. And I kept trying to tell myself, no, you're just excited at this event, whatever this event. But I knew I was not happy about it. So
Oh,
I went on her show and she did a past life regression on me. And she regressed me back to a man, I think his name was James, in the late 1700s, who was very much in love with his wife, and they had a very young daughter, like a baby. And there were these marauders who would come into the town and like rob, take your stuff, go into your home and just take your stuff and attack whoever was there. And they would signal their oncoming by banging on things.
wow.
Oh,
And
wow, right.
I remembered all of this, and I remember feeling so much love for my wife. And I'm a heterosexual woman in this incarnation, so it just felt very strange. But I was absolutely in love with this woman, and I was absolutely in love with our daughter. And I don't have a child either in this incarnation. Um, and so I went through that, and it ended well. The wife took the daughter and escaped into a forest or something, and I was able to find. Oh man, I'm all chills at this moment.
Oh, wow.
And I was able to find her, and we got back home. And yes, they did steal our stuff, but we were safe. And he wound up having this the rest of his wonderful life. But shortly after that, I went to a protest, and there was somebody marching, playing a drum, and had no effect on me.
Oh, that was good.
Isn't it
That's
cool?
Yeah,
amazing.
that is cool.
So yeah, so past life regressions are a thing. I very much believe that this is not our only time.
Right.
You know,
I am very much believing that too.
we're our
Yeah.
spirit. We're not our bodies. So
Yeah.
there's
I
that.
I only have deja vu. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like I've been here before. I've done nothing traumatic. You know what I mean? Nothing like that. That's so cool. That really is. And that you're, I, you dealt with it. So now you know what I mean? So now you can
Yeah.
go have fun at a parade.
That was yeah, that's a good thing. Um, but you've certainly had plenty of trauma in this life.
I have. And when it comes to journeys, like my own journeys, I currently, because I have heard that you just have to continue working out your intuition and your third eye to be able to see things with your eyes closed. And I don't. So when I close my eyes, and this is brings up a lot of the misconception with hypnosis is because there are people who have those visual seeings when they close their eyes, but there's also the ones who can't and they have more auditory or they have more feeling based in the body. When I did my certification through past life regression, you do go on one, but mine was all more feeling based. But yes, I feel like most of my trauma definitely happened in this time.
Right.
And, although I went through a lot of crazy things, I am still very grateful. I've always been a strong believer of everything happens for a reason. It's either a lesson or a blessing. And I've always been a strong believer of that. And so anytime I have a traumatic incident happen and I'm like, what is this trying to teach me? And like I said, I'm more feeling based in my body because I don't have much visuals, but as I said, I'm working on that. So being able to help those who have experienced what I've been through, or not even as bad as, what I've gone through, just to be able to help somebody to the other side, like I said in the beginning, is such a blessing because a lot of people who have been raised in situations like that follow that pattern and don't know a way out. They don't see
Mhm.
another path because that's what they were raised with. That's
Right.
what's in their mind. And I love being the one to say, I've been there, I've overcome it. It is very possible to overcome it. Your subconscious is a very strong asset for you. Once you understand the subconscious, anything is achievable after that.
That's wonderful. And you said it's either a lesson or a blessing. And sometimes a lesson is a blessing, quite
Yes.
Mhm.
often. And I even think that we are sort of students here. And we've, before we incarnate, we have a little conference with our creator and we choose everything that we experience, even the negative things, because they will help us to learn what our spirit needs to learn. And some of us choose really difficult paths. And it seems like perhaps that's what you have chosen. And as far as the visualization is concerned, I bet if you're able to imagine when you're the subject of another hypnotherapist, if you're able to imagine what they're telling you to imagine, I bet you are a pretty visual person, and you will absolutely be satisfied with the level you achieve in the very near future, I think.
Yes, I agree.
And you also mentioned earlier, I think you said most of your clients are weight loss, but you didn't think it was related to trauma. And they might not think it's related to trauma. But often when weight loss is an issue, if a person weighs more than he or she wants or has extra body, it's because they've swallowed something. There's that literal aspect to that, the body syndrome's way of looking at things.
Yep.
And often and if it's like, they told us at the school, if it's in your stomach, it's often some kind of guilt. And you might never know exactly what it is, but sometimes it helps to have somebody from the outside tell you what your body may well be experiencing, because then it might dawn on you what it is.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. That is a very honest statement.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you do you have any, so you're going to take the second training at HMI, the next year. And do you want to continue doing things the way that you're doing, or do you have your eye on a particular specialty?
So through my life, my mother was a Reiki practitioner when I was younger, and I never knew until I started doing Reiki and I was certified with it. Because when I was a kid, my mom used to always go like this with my boo-boos, and it would feel so much better. So I've always been like, I was raised intuitively to, with tarot and, the chakras. Um, my brain totally flashed out. But yes, I would like to work with the same, like the trauma recovery, PTSD, IEMT, which is something that I actually just recently heard about. So I'm not certified in it. I have been looking more into it. The past lives, intuitive, and then tarot. But with AOS, when I was 15, I always said I was going to go to school for psychology. And I never had a reason of what I wanted to go to school for because I thought that you could just go for psychology. And everyone's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, just psychology. And they're like, well, there's got to be something to go with it. I was like, but there's nothing. That's all know is I want to go to school for psychology. The AOS program is mind body psychology. And I was like, everything pointed me to HMI. When I first started doing the videos, John Melton, I even Googled it. When I was a little kid, late night TV used to have that same setup as they have as the classroom that they had with the lights in the back and the I remember seeing it so vividly. And so I looked, HMI used to broadcast at late night.
Oh,
And so I feel like this has just drawn me to it because I've been in New York my whole life. And the theme song that you hear before every video. It was always one that played in my head. So when I heard it, it was a very familiar sound and it was a very familiar view. And it just like kind of confirmed it for me. And that I was in the right spot, doing the right thing. I do definitely want to continue building up, you know, building other people up through experiences, life-altering experiences that they've gone through. Because, as I said, whether it's news that they got medically that is holding them back, relationships that they don't seem to be going anywhere with, reliving the past traumas or whatever, seems to be the area of expertise that my soul wants to be like drawn to. I've already put in a lot of things at the fire departments, hospitals, police stations for first responders who have experienced trauma firsthand that, are taking that home with them. And I want them to continue to do what they love to do without the burden of being weighed down from everything that they could possibly see, especially with everything going on in the world today. There's no thing out of the realm of possibilities. So it's pretty exciting that that seems to be the thing that keeps on coming up into my mind.
That's
It's
great. You mentioned IEMT. Is that eye movement?
So it's integral eye movement therapy. And I don't have a huge list of everything that that's about. I could Google it real fast. But from when they had a practice builder power hour at HMI, and there was a lady on there that did trauma recovery, IEMT, and PTSD. And what the IEMT does is it completely relaxes from what she said. And apologize if I butcher this.
no, you're fine. You're fine.
What she had stated was she does it for everybody. There are people who come in that don't want the hypnosis part, but the IEMT relaxes the whole body and gets you into that completely relaxed state to allow your body to accept the hypnosis after. So let me just look it up because I feel like I'm butchering it, but it is definitely something that caught my attention. Um, Because how amazing would it be to calm somebody before going into the state of hypnosis and even possibly not needing to do the state of hypnosis if people are too fearful?
Yeah,
Um,
it's absolutely. And it can not only help with getting the person to the brainwave state that they want to be in order to experience hypnosis, it can also help to release memories that they pushed down because they were
yeah,
too traumatic. And sometimes that just remembering can be a very cathartic experience, especially with something like PTSD. It seems a lot of the people who experience that post-traumatic stress disorder have experienced things like war, and
Right.
they've seen just the
Horrible
worst of
thing.
the worst, and they've had to push it down in order to continue to function. So yeah. So and so is it the one where you look at something and you move your eyes rapidly back and forth?
nope. So I found the definition. I did pull it up. It is a brief therapeutic model that uses specific eye movements, yeah, to help disconnect. So maybe I didn't hear her mention anything about that, but it helps people disconnect from the intense negative emotion. So you were probably accurate.
Yeah. Sometimes really all you need is something to sort of distract you for a moment, to get you from the fight or flight, to get the fight or flight to go through, oh, I forget the word now, to restore you to your relaxed state. You just need some time. And there are a few ways of doing it. The IEMT works, progressive muscle relaxation works. There's another technique I learned from a British guy who he has you think about the trauma and then rub your arms up and down, and then think about the trauma again. And the second time you think about it, each time you assign it a number and it'll be lower each time. And then you just keep, and you're just taking the time to restore yourself Homeostasis, that's it, where because when you're in fight or flight, your body has released all of the stress hormones, the cortisol, the adrenaline, all the bad ones, and you're just having this dreadful feeling. You feel like you're about to die because your subconscious mind is telling you you're about to die if you don't run from or fight off your attacker. And frequently, there really isn't an attacker there. It's just something has triggered that trauma.
Right.
So that's a wonderful thing that you want to be able to do for people. And I think
Mhm.
you'll find, if you're not already, that you may attract a lot of people who have similar backgrounds to yours. Many therapists say that.
I
Mm.
have definitely found that the statement you will be given what you still need to work through or what you've already worked through, I have found that to be true this far in my career. And I think that it's amazing how that happens. Really, whether it be, trying to create patterns for myself because I used to be so all over the place, but building patterns, I've had clients where I've had to help them create patterns for themselves so that they could remember, overcoming obstacles that I've overcame or seeing things differently through helping clients with similar situations, not quite the same, to open up my eyes for a situation that I've gone through or am going through. And it's such a huge eye opener. HMI has been such a huge eye opener from relationships to understanding the subconscious to knowing why like my anxiety goes or the social anxiety I received when I was in school asking an embarrassing question and then being fearful in the future. And it was everything led to where HMI is, and everything at HMI has explained everything that I've experienced from my past to present. The ENP saved my relationship because, when you're looking at a relationship, you don't realize that there's two different sides and that this person thinks of this and this person thinks of this. And being able to use the tools that I've been given at HMI, not only for my life, but for others experiencing the same thing I have, is amazing.
And can you, in case any of our listeners don't know what ENP means, could you explain what that means?
So ENP is behaviorally, so emotional, sexual, and physical sexual. And these are just behavior styles that people grow up with, you can get it from, I believe it's the secondary caregiver is what you usually get the behavior from. But as you grow up, there's two different kinds. There's the emotional and the physical. The emotional has a four sets of they each have four sets, but they're first, so for emotional, I believe it's career,
It's the most
family.
important. Yeah. In order of importance.
Yep, in order of importance of their life is career, family, hobbies, relationships. With physicals, it's relationships, career, family, and hobbies. If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me, I don't have the book in front of me. Um, but it can create a lot of controversy, if the physical feels rejected or if the emotional is too worried about business, because again, the priorities are different. So the first one for the physical is the sexual relationship. If that doesn't work out, everything down below falls through dysfunction.
Right.
With an emotional, it's career and then everything that follows. And I was not aware of that. I'm so career based and oriented that sometimes it takes me away from the thought of, the relationship, not out of the relationship, but out of the thought of it. Because I'm so busy trying to get things done and my mind has a squirrel brain, so I'm very easily distracted. But being able to use the EMP relationship strategies that HMI John Kappas wrote, it was able to allow me to understand why I was the way I was, to understand my partner on why they felt the way that they felt in situations. And the collaboration between the two, we were able to fix what was, in a rocky start, to kind of collaborate them together so that we both know what to work on. I didn't realize a lot of things that they needed. They didn't realize a lot of things that I was going through. And it just kind of built it together. And now that foundation that is created. So if anybody is having issues, it is definitely an amazing book to read because it does explain a lot and it may be the concrete to build that foundation that you need.
Yeah, we have a tendency to think the difference is between men and women, and it's not necessarily. The emotional is much more inferential and much less extroverted, much more introverted, and the physical is much more literal. They'll take you at your word, and they are much more extroverted. So the physical is far more likely to touch you when they're talking and, sit closer to you, and the emotional is more likely to hear you say something and take it the wrong way, that kind of thing, and
Yeah.
probably not touch you while they're talking. So it really is a very helpful way of looking at things. And it's because there was a book I read in the early 1990s, so I guess it was written in the 1980s, called Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus.
Right.
And it divided exactly, men are this way, women are this way. And by that time, I'd been in probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 romantic relationships. And I thought, I'm the man in all of my relationships, because I'm the one who's the fixer. I'm the one who's the caregiver. So it's definitely not a man-woman thing. It's a emotional and physical thing.
I agree.
It helps a lot.
I tell my kids, when they were younger, that there are 3 C's: communication, consideration, and cooperation, right? Because those 3 things, if you're willing, like, I think nothing of putting someone else first. You know what I mean? Just basic things like that without going any further. You have to be able to compromise. You have to be able to discuss things. And if you don't have openness in your relationship, then it's stifled. So to have someone who can help you, especially with the traumas that you've been through, like my brother had an issue and he had to, go through the program, which he never finished. Okay. He never went through the 12 steps, but he came to an understanding. And I don't know, was he healed or did he just have an epiphany? You know what I mean? Did everything just, luckily, he's great. You know what I mean? He's not drinking and he's just, listen, he's got a ways to go in other areas of his life, but it would be nice to have something other than the 12 steps. You know what I mean? To help you deal with your inner traumas. And,
Hmm.
I think it's a beautiful thing that you're doing. And
Thank you.
I hope it works. It will work out, that you'll get the right people and that you'll change their lives, really, or help them change their own lives. So
Yes,
thank you for
thank
that.
you.
Yes. They say when the student is ready, the teacher will come, and when the teacher is ready, the student will come. So
Right.
you're in really good shape.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And if when somebody wants to contact you, how do they do that?
So my business number is 607-318-1202.
Okay.
And I have a Facebook right now. I don't have my website up yet. I've been tackling with my domain provider. So it's coming. I feel it that'll be up within the next month. Um, but if you wanted to get a hold of me, I think that would be the best. Unless somebody wanted to look me up on Facebook, and then it is Tiffany Beyea, spelled like on my last name, Master Hypnotist. And then my scheduling link will be right in the bio of that if somebody was interested.
Okay. Thank you. And Jewel, do you have any last
I
questions?
do. If there was something that you'd like the audience to take away today, what would it be?
I think the thing that I would like a lot of people to take away is the fact that anything is possible. The sky is the limit. There is no stop from anything that you can achieve in life. It all starts with the first step. Don't be afraid of that first step because that first step, it doesn't matter how small, it could be a crawl if you need it to. Any step in the right direction is a positive step to the future that you deserve and will achieve one day. And to keep your head up because even the worst day only has 24 hours.
Oh,
Well,
that's a great way. Yeah, it's a great way to look
yeah.
at it. All right. Well, this has been another episode of A Better World with Julann and Fran and our guest Tiffany Beyea.
Thank you.
Please like and share this video, and please subscribe to our channel and join us again next week, won't you? So long
Okay.
for now.
Bye.